Hey guys, so for today's video, I'm going to do a Powerpuff Girls Easter set. So to start off, I'm just going in and painting all of the bases on my nails. I'm using this brand here. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but I got it from Amazon. I really like this brand. I have this like hollow collection from them, and then I also have two different reflective gel polish collections from them, and I really love their reflective glitters as well as these hollow glitter polishes. But as you can see, one coat of this is super sheer, so I did end up doing 3 coats of all the colors that I'm doing. I'm doing the green, pink, and blue to match the colors of Bubbles, Blossom, and Buttercup, and then on the pinky and the thumb, I'm doing a silver because I really didn't know what I was gonna do on those, but I didn't want to make them like the colors of the girls because it was just 2 more nails. But anyhow, so like I said, I did do 3 coats of all of these colors because they are super sheer. But if you didn't want to add so many layers of this, you could add like a base color. So like for the blue one, add a blue. For the pink, add a pink. For the green, add a green. And then for the silver, you could do, you know, a white or a black or a gray, like depending on kind of what you were looking for, what you're trying to do for your set. But just try and match like the hollow or the base color to like the hollow color as best as possible, and then do like a layer of the hollow on top, and then you wouldn't have to do so many layers of the hollow to try and get it opaque because you will have that cream color underneath. But I really didn't want to do that for this set. I just wanted the hollow because I didn't want to see like a solid cream color underneath or like through that. But after I get those all done and cured, I am going in with the sketching gel from Ball Pit and painting on the girls. This one right here is Bubbles. I will have a picture up on screen so you can see the reference picture that I was going for. Also, if you wanted to paint her as well. So to paint Bubbles, and really to paint all 3 of the girls, it's basically the same thing over and over again, just like different positions based off of like their poses. So I start off with this kind of like ovally circle shape. Like it's not a perfect circle, but it's also not really an oval. It's kind of like a flattened circle for the head. And then I go in and do her bangs, and then I go in and draw on her eyes. And when you are doing this, like her eyes start like in the middle of her bangs, like on each side of her bangs. So when you are painting a character like this, you do want to look at your reference picture and like kind of see where certain parts start and stop. So like for the eyes, for example, they kind of start there in the middle of her bangs, so that's where I want to start it, and then it stops over there like on the middle side of her head. Now I'm going in and doing her mouth, which is a little hard to see right here, but it is kind of like a, I would say like a horseshoe shape, or like a U. You do a U and then like a smaller U on top to make it look like she's like smiling with her mouth open. Now I'm going in and doing like her little hood with the bunny ears on it, and you can only see like part of it, so you want to taper it and then make it wider as you go to like the side or the back of her head. Also, whenever I do my outlining, I don't flash cure in between. I wait till I get it all on to cure it. But if you feel more comfortable flash curing in between, then obviously you can flash cure. But I tend to have some issues with like proportions and making sure things are in the correct place. So that's why I don't like to do it, because then if I do mess up at an earlier stage and it's already cured on, like I'd have to file it off or like buff it off or something, and that just gets a little difficult for me. And I'd rather just be able to wipe it off real easy with like a cleanup brush and be able to paint it on real quick. So that's why I don't flash cure in between. But like I said, if you feel more comfortable flash curing in between, go right ahead. And then for her ears, they're just kind of like really long U shapes there on the top of her head. Again, you want to look at where the ears are positioned, so use like the facial features to kind of see where the ears need to be and how far they need to curve and go over. And then her body also kind of follows that same kind of like U shape that like her mouth and the bunny ears do. So like you do a really long side for like where her stomach is, and then you curve that up just a little bit to create her leg, and then you do kind of more like a sideways type of ovally circle thing for her other leg, and then drag it, the rest of it, up towards her head to connect like her body to her head. I am doing such a great job at explaining how to paint these. This is why I usually don't explain how to paint the characters whenever I'm doing character paintings or like character art, because it is so difficult for me to explain things and like how I'm doing things. I don't know, I just feel like it's easier for you to just watch me do it rather than me trying to explain it. But again, her arms are like the same thing. You do like a jelly bean tube U shape or whatever on both sides for her arms. And then, like I said, they're all basically the same thing repeated, just different positioning based off of their poses. So some of the way you're going to do things is going to be a little bit differently, but it's basically all the same shapes. For Blossom and Buttercup, their eyes are open, and I just drew like the very outside outline of their eyes. I didn't do any of the inside outlining, so like for their iris and their pupils and like the whites of their eyes and all of that. I just did the big giant circle for their eyes, and I added in like, I just painted on the colors later on. In the video, you'll see that whenever I am adding in all the colors. I also didn't do any of their baskets, mainly because on Bubbles, I didn't have room for her basket. So then I just decided to leave the basket off of all of them. So I do still do Buttercup, or not Butter, who is this? Blossom's arm the same way as in the picture. I just don't add on her little basket. And I did have to kind of fill that space there where her hair would be behind the basket, and just finish drawing her hair up to her head, if that makes sense. But if you wanted to add the baskets, you can obviously add the baskets. I'm not going to try and explain anymore how I did any of this, because I did an awful job, I feel like, explaining how I painted on Bubbles. Also, I forgot to do Bubbles' little bunny tail, if you noticed that. I did add it on like towards the end. I don't know if I filmed me doing that or not. I think I realized it like right before I was going to top coat, and then I just real quick did the little bunny tails. I think I also did a bunny tail on Buttercup as well. But anyhow, like I said, I'm not going to try and explain how to paint them anymore. I'm hoping that just by watching how I'm doing it, along with having the reference picture on the screen, can kind of help you out. Like if you are following along, or if you're trying to figure out how to paint the Powerpuff Girls or whatever, or at least the Powerpuff Girls in these little bunny costumes. Also, I feel like even though I do have this video sped up a little bit because it was kind of a long video, it still is kind of a long video, I do have the outline part sped up just a little bit. It's at like 1.5, so it is a little fast, but I feel like it's still slow enough to be able to like follow along if you were to follow along. Also, you could also like just pause the video if you needed to, like to try and figure something out. You can also replay a part over and over and over again, however many times you need. I think also you can like change the speed of the videos if you need to. I'm pretty sure you can. Like, I think you can slow them down and speed them up if you need to. So like you have all those options if like this is going too slow or too fast for you. Like I said, if you are following along, or if you're trying to find a tutorial on how to do something like this. Also, I just want to say, like, if you don't have a sketching gel like I do, you can just use like, you could use a black gel polish or a white gel polish, you know, depending on the base color that you have your nails painted. You could even use like a plain brown gel polish. If you have a sheer or like a jelly black polish, you could also use that for your outline. You could also do like a brown or a black and mix it into like a base coat or a top coat to make it like a jelly or a sheer color. That way it's not so opaque, because I just feel like the more opaque the color is, like if you do a like solid opaque black gel polish, I feel like it's more likely to show through whenever you go in with your colors, especially if you're doing lighter colors. Like for the Powerpuff Girls' skin tone colors, they do have a very light skin color, so I feel like to do a black outline might be a little too dark because it could show through. So that's why I would say probably mix it up with like a clear polish, like a top coat or a base coat or something, in order to shear it out a little bit so it's not so opaque and won't show through as well. So like I said, you don't have to have the sketching gel if you don't have it, but I do recommend it. Like if you are really serious about like doing nail art or even like character art, I do really recommend it because it is super helpful to have, and it doesn't show through any colors, or at least not any colors that I've used that it has ever shown through. Like I said, black does tend to show through a little more, even a sheer black. If you don't like, if it's not sheer enough or jelly enough, or if you go a little bit thicker in some areas, like you can see in some spots I did get a little thicker with my lines than I wanted, or have a little bit more gel than I had anticipated having there. And I just feel like with a black, like that would show through a lot more, or even just show through at all, whereas with this it doesn't show through on those colors that I'm going to be painting on top. But like I said, there's ways to do this without having this specific gel. You could also, if you put a matte top coat on your nails and then like buff it out, you could draw on the nail with like a pencil and do your outline and sketch like that. I used to do that all the time. That was always how I would get my outlines on, was with a pencil. I do have a video, I think I have a couple videos early on showing that. I know my mod son video, I don't know if I show myself drawing on the nails with the pencil, but I do show that it, like, the outline with the pencil on there. I want to say also my blue set and maybe my cardinal set also had pencil outlines. I can't remember, but I know for sure my mod son set has the pencil outline. So if you were interested in knowing how to do that or curious on that, you could check out that. But like I said, you want to add a matte top coat and then like buff the surface to make it kind of like scratchy and grainy so that the pencil actually like grabs on to the nail itself. Now I'm just grabbing out the colors that I need for this set. I'm using all these pastel colors from whatever this brand is. Again, I don't know how to pronounce it. I got it off of Amazon. It's this really pretty pastel collection. My green brush is a hot mess. I don't know what happened there. That's been like that ever since I got it. So like I can't really paint a full nail with it, but I can still use it for nail art. And then I'm also using Mother Nature from Madam Glam, which I don't think they have that color anymore. I also don't think they have Energize Your Day, which is another color that I use often. Every time I try to search for it on their website, it's not there. Anyhow, I do have a discount code with Madam Glam. If you are ever interested in purchasing anything from Madam Glam, you can use my discount code, save some money, gets you 35% off. Then I'm mixing up this like orangey, pinky, salmony type of color. I think this is for Blossom's Eye. I use that Mother Nature color for Buttercup's Eye. I also grab out the white and the black from Ball Pit. I mixed together, I think it was Orange Blossom and Beach Brat for the Blossom's Eyes. And then I also grab out Marshmallow from Ball Pit, which is going to be their skin color. And then I just take my liner brush. This is my 9mm liner brush still, and I just go in and fill in my outline just like you would with a coloring book. Just go in, color everything in. I'm starting off with their skin first, or their skin color first, and I get that all filled in, and I fill in all of them all at once, and then I will flash cure them all at the same time before moving on to the next color. For this set, since I have 3 characters that I'm doing, like I try to do all of the colors that are on, like for example, hold on, let me try and explain this a little better. So I start out with their skin tone, and I do Bubbles skin first, then I do Blossoms, then I do Buttercups, flash cure that, then I move on to the next color that they also share. So like the pinks on their bunny ears and their bellies, I'll go through and do that first. And then so what I'm trying to say here is, like, I do the color that they all have the same of first, so that way I'm not having to clean off my brush a bunch of times and swap back and forth between colors so many times. It kind of saves a little bit of time here of not having to like clean my brush off a bunch of times. Also with Blossom and Buttercup's mouth, like, it does get painted over because it's just a line there. If you wanted to, you didn't have to add that, like draw that their mouth on in the sketching part, because it does just get covered up and then you basically redraw it on in the end whenever you do like your final details and outlining and everything. But I like to include like as much detail as possible in the outlining part, just to make sure that I have like the spacing correct and like the proportions correct. But sometimes if I feel like I don't need to, like with the eyes, I didn't add in those little details there because I didn't feel like I needed to. I won't need to, but like if it's something that I need there to try and get the proportion right, then I will include it in the sketch. So like I said, just go through, do all the colors. And I do, since there are no colors like overlapping for this part, well, until I get to the outline. But anyhow, since there are no colors like overlapping at this part, I do just flash cure them. But if there were to be like colors overlapping, like if I were to have done their bunny suit, and then put the little pink belly on top of it, or the pink ears on top of it, I would cure those for a full 60 seconds before adding on the pink. But because I have them separate, I do just flash cure every color that I put on. And then once I get them all fully colored in and painted, I do go ahead and cure for a full 60 seconds. I am so sorry if what I'm saying is confusing and makes no sense. Like, as it's coming out of my mouth, it's like not even hardly making any sense to me right now either. I know I'm not the best at explaining things, but usually I'm better at explaining than I am right now. Like, I don't know what is going on with me right now. You know, it's probably the lack of sleep that I have not gotten. I haven't slept very well the past few days. Like, I'm running on very little sleep. So it's probably finally catching up to me. But anyhow, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and let this play out for a bit, because it's all just me like filling in the rest of the girls and like their little bunny suits and everything. So yeah, I'm just gonna let that play out for a little bit, and I will come back whenever I need to explain something. So I know it doesn't look like it, but Blossom's bunny suit and like the pink on the ears and her belly are two different colors. This, I'm using the same brand. It's that, whatever brand that was I showed earlier. The pink and the like reddish pink color are very, very similar. And they're so similar, they almost look like they're the same color. Like, even in person, it's very hard to like see the difference between the two. So I feel like on camera it just looks like I'm painting with the same exact color, but you will be able to see later that like I do go through and outline it all, so it does look more distinct. So it doesn't really matter if they look the same color or not, but I did just want to clarify that I am using two different colors and not going in with the same color for like the rest of her suit as I did for like the inside of the ears and her belly there. And I can't remember if I said this earlier or not, but this portion here where it's just me like basically coloring everything in is sped up like ×2, just to kind of shorten the video a little bit. Also, I feel like this part is pretty self-explanatory. You're just basically coloring things in, painting everything in, you know, kind of like a paint by number or coloring book or whatever. So I felt like it would be okay for me to speed it up a little bit, because it's not like you're really missing out on anything, like if you were to be following along, you know. Also, like these character videos that I'm doing, I mentioned in my Lizzie McGuire one that I wanted to do a practice my character art this year and try to do at least one video a month where I do character art. And these videos are just going to be longer than like my usual videos. I do try to keep my videos on like 35 minutes or less, because I've noticed any longer, like, I mean, I can get to about 40 minutes and I feel like the views like go down after that. Any video that's like longer than 40 minutes doesn't always have the best views, and like more people watch when it's like 35 or under. So I do try to keep all my videos 35 minutes or less. But like I said, with these, like when I'm doing these character nails, these videos are just going to be longer because of how long they take and all the detail that goes into them. And I do want to try and leave in like as much of footage as possible so you guys can see it, for anyone who is wanting to practice character art or is using these for like practice or to like follow along or something. I do want to, you know, keep in as much footage as possible for anyone who is looking to these videos for that. So it's not like, you know, I do something and then it jumps to something else and you're like, wait, what happened? Like, how did we get from this point to this point? You know, like sometimes I do that in some of my other videos just because I feel like, you know, I can get away with it a little easier that way, because some stuff is like pretty self-explanatory, but I feel like when doing these super detailed character nails like this, like I do need to try and leave in as much as possible, and like I try to give as many like tips and tricks and stuff as I can when doing these. So yeah, these videos are just going to be a little bit longer than what I do, especially if I'm doing multiple characters like I am for this set. For my other ones, I've only done, like for the Lizzie McGuire, I only did one character. The Lucky Charms, I only did one character. What did I do for February? I don't even remember. Oh, the Pokemon one, I only did one character there, but I did do like some other things on that as well. But yeah, like the more detailed the character is, or if I'm doing multiple characters, yeah, you're just going to have to expect that these are going to be slightly longer videos. I have been contemplating, like, instead of trying to do a full set in one video, just like have the video be focused on like the character itself, and then do a separate video where I'm finishing the set and like doing the rest of the nails to go with that character. But also, I feel like two-part videos don't always do that well either. Like, people will watch the first part of the video and not come back for the second part, or like for some reason the second part of the video does better than the first part of the video, and I don't really like doing the two-parter videos, especially since like I do upload twice a week. Like, I upload Wednesdays and Saturdays, but I feel like if I'm gonna do a two-part video, like, I have to upload them back to back instead of having like days in between, because it makes more sense for them to be uploaded back to back, or even upload them on the same day, because that just makes more sense to me. But also I feel like that's too much and would overwhelm everyone to have that many uploads all at once. I don't know. I'm trying to figure this out and like how I want to do it. I might just have it be where, you know, I'll have a video that's quite a bit longer than what I usually do, because of these characters and whatever. But I don't know. Eventually, hopefully I'll get faster at painting characters and being able to, you know, go a little bit faster, because as of right now I am super slow. And the more detail that is on the characters, the longer it takes me, which makes sense. But yeah, hopefully the more I practice, the quicker I'll get, and like I can at some point, you know, get shorter videos and they be a little more condensed down and not be so long. But I don't know. Maybe by that point where I am getting faster, I'll do like even more detailed characters, so the videos will still be long because I'm doing even more detailed characters. I don't know. We'll just have to see how this goes and take it one video at a time, I guess. And I'm over here talking about not wanting to overwhelm people with a bunch of uploads like in a week and do too much. And I'm thinking about doing 31 days of Halloween again, like how I did a couple years ago, where I did a video every single day of October. I don't know if I'm gonna do that. I haven't quite decided yet. We'll see. I might do that. I might not. It was a lot of work to do that a couple years ago, and yeah, I just don't know if I want to do that again. But I'll figure that out eventually. I have plenty of time to decide if I'm gonna do that or not. But also, something else that I'm like trying to figure out and work through is like, with these longer videos and like these character art videos, I don't know if you can hear that or not, but there is a helicopter circling, and when they fly over the house, they sound so low, and like the walls are rattling, and I feel like they're about to hit my house or something. So if you can hear the helicopter when it flies over, I am so sorry for that. I don't know what's going on. But anyhow, something else that I'm like trying to figure out is like me talking versus not talking throughout the video. Because I feel like sometimes I don't talk enough in videos, and there's just all this space of like not talking, and it's just like the background music playing. And like, while I don't mind that in videos where like people just have it play for a little bit and then like pop in and out when they need to explain stuff and like background music playing for a little bit. I feel like not everyone enjoys that, and I kind of want to find a good balance between like talking through the video and like not talking through the video. Like I don't want to have too much quiet time, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You know, where it's just the background music playing, but also I don't always have much to say during a video. I do like to try and keep things related to the nail set that I'm doing rather than just go off like I am right now and like I have been in this video. I like to try and keep things focused on the nail set, but sometimes that's a little bit difficult when like I explain everything and then I just have like, you know, 5 minutes of silence basically. So I don't know. I feel like with these longer ones, especially with the character art videos, like there is a lot more quiet time and like silence in the videos, but I don't know. Like I said, I'm trying to figure that out and like work through that and what have you. But anyhow, now I'm just going in and doing my outline. I'm using the Emo Black Liner Gel from Ball Pit, and again using my 9mm liner brush. I should have used my 12mm for this because it's a lot easier to do outlining with a 12mm liner brush over a 9mm liner brush, in my opinion. Unless I'm doing like super small stuff. Like on the face it was really easy to do this, but I feel like for the rest of it I needed to use my 12mm liner brush. It would have just been a lot easier. Also with the outlining, I do add on the little like line on Bubble's eyes to show that they're closed, and then I do add on Buttercup and Blossom's mouths. Same thing with the outlining, or with my drawing on the outline at the beginning. When I'm doing my outline here at the end, I also don't flash cure. I do it all at once. I don't know. I just don't like to stop and stick it in the lamp and pull it back out and go back and like just keep doing that. I just like to get it all done all at once. So I just outline everything, and then once it's all outlined, I do go ahead and cure for a full 60 seconds. But, you know, as always, if you feel more comfortable flash curing every so often, feel free to flash cure every so often. And going back to, you know, talking about like trying to figure out the timing of videos and like you know, talking versus not talking and how much I need to talk and whatever. I also kind of feel like I'm overthinking it and worrying about it too much, because like I've been basically doing the same thing since I started my channel, and like I've been doing fine. At least I feel like I'm doing fine. I mean, I did just reach 1,000 subscribers, and like my videos don't get a ton of views, but also I don't really care about the numbers, you know. I just mainly do this because it's fun. I've been doing nail art since I was in middle school, and I've always thought it was fun and loved showing people the nail art that I did and like telling people how I did it. I also like how I can share these videos and someone will watch it and then comment and be like, oh my gosh, I've been wondering how to do something like this, or like, oh, this was very helpful, you've given me like very good tips and stuff. So like that's what I do it for. So I don't necessarily care about the numbers, but I don't know. I'm also kind of comparing myself to like others. I've been watching a lot of videos here lately because I've been having a lot more free time here lately. So I've been watching a lot more videos and seeing how they do things, and I'm like, do I need to switch it up? Because I feel like everything that I do is very basic, and I feel like everyone else's productions and like how they edit their videos and like their backgrounds and everything is like so extravagant, and I'm over here and I'm just like bare minimum, I feel like. So maybe I gotta stop doing that. Stop comparing myself to others, because like I said, I'm doing fine. I feel like I'm doing fine. Other people would probably look at my channel and be like, you're not doing fine. Like, you don't get very many views and like you don't really have that many subscribers, but like, I don't care. I am doing just fine and I'm having fun with what I'm doing, and that's all that matters to me, is that I'm having fun and enjoying what I'm doing. But anyhow, as you saw, on the 2 silver nails, I decided to do Easter eggs in the same colors as Bubbles, Blossom, and Buttercup. And then I top coated with a shiny top coat, since I did do that hollow background. I thought about doing matte, but if I did matte, then you wouldn't be able to see the hollow glitters and it would just dull it out. So I went with shiny, and I think it's super cute. Something else that would have been really cute would be to matte top coat the Powerpuff Girls and the Easter eggs, so to have that matte and shiny contrast on the nail, but I was kind of lazy and didn't feel like doing that, even though I think that would look so cool and would just make like the girls stand out a little bit more against the background. But overall, I am really happy with this set, and I think they came out really well. Also, I am going to toot my own horn, pat myself on the back, because these are fairly small nails compared to what I usually do my character art on. Like, you've seen my previous ones, they have been on like longer square nails, whereas these are on like a medium coffin nail. I think that's what these tips are. I think I'm using the medium coffins. So these are significantly shorter. They also taper in a lot there towards the free edge, since they are coffins. I really wanted to like challenge myself and see if I could do some character art and like super detailed art on a short nail like this, or a shorter nail. This isn't like super short, but it's shorter than what I'm used to, especially for something like this. And I was able to do it, and not only was I able to do it, but I was able to fit their entire little bodies on these little nails, which is so awesome. But I just love this set, and I love these hollow polishes. I need to use them more because I absolutely love them. But that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.